Today's video is brought to you by friend of the channel, Audible. Audible is legitimately one of my favorite and most used services around. It's the leading provider of spoken word entertainment, not just audiobooks, but Audible originals, podcasts, and more. So with your ordinary Audible plan, you get a free audiobook every month. And of course, if you don't use your credit, well, it just rolls over, and you get to keep your audiobook even if you cancel your subscription. With the new Audible Plus membership plan, you also get unlimited access to a variety of products, including Audible originals. Really good for someone who likes audiobooks, but also podcasts, music, and more. So as a Star Wars channel, I also think I should let you guys know pretty much every Star Wars book is available on Audible. I'm personally going to highly recommend the 20th anniversary version of Heir to the Empire. It's got phenomenal voice acting, it's got full sound effects and music. It's just probably the best Star Wars book you can get. If you want something not Star Wars related, well, I recommend checking out Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, one of my favorite books that I read yearly. Anyway, you can get a free Audible Plus trial by going to audible.com/EckhartsLetter or by texting Eckhart's Letter to 500-500. At the very least, you'll get a month of those awesome services and a free audiobook, which you can keep either way. Anyway, thank you, Audible. On with the content. Hey guys, this is Eckhart's Letter. Hello and welcome to another video. Today we will be examining 5 of the most powerful superweapons to have ever existed in Star Wars history, and we will be talking about Star Wars canon and legends. However, to make things interesting, I've went ahead and removed the 2 Death Stars from consideration because those are 2 superweapons that I think you guys are probably already very familiar with, and I've also removed the Zystons and Starkiller Base because they're in movies you've all seen. Just for the record though, Starkiller Base would be one of, if not the greatest superweapons just because of its ability to destroy entire star systems from across the galaxy. I mean, it's pretty powerful. With that being said, let's get started. At number 5, we have our first entry from the Dark Empire series, the World Devastators. Now, World Devastators are interesting because unlike the other superweapons on this list, they don't really have, at least in single form, massive destructive power. Instead, their usefulness comes from their ability to massively repurpose assets and resources in order to make more tools of destruction. World Devastators are perfect for capturing and conquering a planet and furthering your military campaign. Palpatine originally envisioned them as his tools for taking and populating other galaxies. At the heart of the World Devastator is a furnace which can break down and reuse pretty much everything from dirt and wood to structures of a city to starships. The furnace is extremely powerful and is in itself a weapon. But when something is atomized by the furnace, it's not destroyed, rather it's repurposed. The World Devastator is almost completely automated, and its central computer has a variety of plans, from starships to ground units, basically anything you can imagine. The material sucked up is then used to make these designs, so a World Devastator poses a sort of exponential threat, especially if a World Devastator becomes capable of making more World Devastators. I've covered this all in a prior video, by the way. During the Dark Empire era, World Devastators were never actually conventionally destroyed. The New Republic just could not do it. So its really powerful shielding and armor is another advantage, and really the only reason they're not more high on this list is because World Devastators work best when you have dozens or more working together, like during the invasion of Mon Calamari. A single one is still very deadly, top 5 most deadly superweapons in the galaxy, but I don't think it deserves a much higher spot on this list. And just to show you guys how serious I am, number 4 is the Eclipse Super Dreadnought, the greatest super star destroyer ever created. One thing that's interesting is that although the Eclipse is gigantic, it's not quite as big as it might have been. Back when the Eclipse was first introduced in Dark Empire again, it was given a length of 10 miles, which turns out to be about 16 kilometers. That was later made more specific at 17.5. So that length is shorter than the current length of the Executor, although it is still massive. However, one thing that people forget is that the Eclipse was designed at a time when the Executor's length was 8 kilometers, so the ship was envisioned as literally twice as long. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on how you feel about that, as the Executor was scaled up, the Eclipse was not given the same treatment, although just because of its overall volume, it is more massive. This was the reborn Palpatine's command ship. It was the culmination culmination of Dark Empire technology. It was an illustration of his pure power. Its mere presence inspired fear and demotivated basically anyone in the area. It was armed not only with the expected weapons and fighter complement and impenetrable shielding of a Dark Empire ship of its size, but also a super laser which housed a fraction of a Death Star's power. The Eclipse was destroyed and later replaced with a comparable Eclipse 2, but in my opinion it's the single deadliest capital ship in Star Wars history, and for that reason alone I think deserves the number 4 spot. And I mean, that's because a lot of super weapons in Star Wars are very powerful, but not as mobile as the Eclipse, or if they're very mobile, typically they don't have the same power output. Something like the Starkiller Base is unique because it doesn't need to be in the vicinity of a target to destroy it, which of course is a major benefit, whereas the Eclipse has the ability to go anywhere. Speaking of reaching out and kissing a target from a distance, and with a third Dark Empire entry, we now have the Galaxy Gun. The Galaxy Gun was sort of Starkiller Base before Starkiller Base existed. It essentially weaponized hyperspace and made no target in the galaxy safe. The Galaxy Gun was essentially a missile tube. It fired extremely powerful hyperspace missiles, which could destroy both large targets like a planet or smaller, more precise targets like a space station. The weapon itself was impervious to damage. The New Republic tried to blast it down with ion cannons and it did nothing. So as long as you do a good job constructing each warhead, you're really fine. The great thing about the Galaxy Gun is that you can keep it either at a stronghold or somewhere very remote in the galaxy. Palpatine chose to keep his at Biss, which was surrounded by basically an unstoppable armada. I'm not sure if that's the right approach. I think you risk some sabotage if you do it that way. Personally, I would keep the Galaxy Gun on the move, protected by an escort of my most loyal officers and ships. Either way, mobility is important because we saw with the Death Star, for example, that having to be present at a battle is a really big risk. The Galaxy Gun also has the ability to just leave. It itself has a hyperdrive, so if it's being attacked, it can jump away. That's a really nice feature. Coming up at number 2, we have arguably the most ridiculous super weapon in Star Wars history, which is the Suncrusher. I did an entire video a couple of months ago on why the Suncrusher is just an overpowered mess, even by Star Wars Legends standards, so I won't belabor the point too much. You can go check that video out if you'd like, but basically the Suncrusher packs an unbelievable combination of durability, speed, and destructive potential. The Suncrusher is armed with resonance torpedoes, armament powerful enough to wipe out an entire star system. Basically, you shoot it at the sun and it blows up. Pretty simple. But it's more than just that. The Suncrusher isn't some 20-kilometer long super weapon. It's essentially the size of a large starfighter, maybe a gunboat. The Suncrusher was meant to be operated by a single pilot, and we see Kip Durron do so with very little difficulty. So it was small, it had devastating power, but it's more than that. The Suncrusher was also nearly indestructible. The New Republic tries to get rid of it by throwing it in the heart of the Yavin gas giant. That did nothing, but it also withstood a glancing shot from a Death Star prototype, the super laser of a Death Star prototype, and rammed itself through the bridge of a Star Destroyer. This thing is incredibly tanky. It uses quantum crystal armor. I do think after enough time you could wear it out, and of course the resonance torpedoes are limited based on the cargo space of the Suncrusher, but still, this is an incredibly deadly ship and the second most destructive in Star Wars history. So these 4 super weapons get a lot of play in Star Wars. You've probably heard of most of them. What then could number 1 be? Well, let me present to you Centerpoint Station. So Centerpoint Station actually has a pretty rich history within Star Wars Legends. It appeared in the Corellian trilogy, where it was a major part of that. Then of course it had a bit of the spotlight during the Yuuzhan Vong War. Then later Legacy of the Force, where it was a center point of the civil war that was going on in the galaxy. Centerpoint. So Centerpoint Station was a massive 300+ kilometer long superstructure created by the Celestials. What did the Celestials do with it? Lots of interesting stuff. They probably used it to pull the Corellian system into place, because the main feature of Centerpoint Station was a massive gravity weapon, but it was also partially used to contain Abeloth within the Maw alongside its sister station, Sinkhole. Centerpoint Station was designed by one of the most advanced races in the Star Wars galaxy, probably the most advanced and dominant race, and it was used for such an important purpose, so it's no surprise that it was extremely powerful. Centerpoint Station could be used to move planets, to destroy planets. Its most famous use was probably during the Yuuzhan Vong War, where it wiped out an entire fleet at the Battle of Fondor. And yeah, that's the thing. Like the Galaxy Gun, Centerpoint Station can easily operate from a distance. It's kind of hard to control, which is why there were a ton of friendly Hapen forces wiped out as well. So yeah, quite a tool here, and it's no surprise that Centerpoint Station became the center of many very large and complex political disagreements in the Star Wars galaxy. Centerpoint was powered by an artificial star within the station itself, and its destruction ended up leading to the release of Abeloth, as the black holes sheathing her realm were opened and she was able to escape. But guys, that's all I have for today. That is the story of the 5 most destructive superweapons in the Star Wars galaxy. Is there something I missed? Is there something from Star Wars canon you think should have made the list? Let me know all of that and more down in the comments. Until next time, be safe, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.